So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play you a bit of this remix, but what it is, it's the 2.0 fold down. So this, what you're seeing on the screen, and the way, just to show you as well, the way that Dolby Atmos works is that there are two destinations for sounds within the Dolby Atmos space. So, for example, first of all, there is the bed. Now, the bed is basically used for placing elements that don't really move or don't sort of, you know, have specific glides or movements across or up or down. It's things that are usually sort of, the reason I call it bed is because things are kind of bedded in place. So for things that are sounds that are static and non-moving, they usually sit in the bed. Now that would be probably things like a kick drum, a bass line, usually vocals, or at least the lead vocals would be in the bed. Because obviously you wouldn't be spinning, you know, the whole point of Dolby Atmos mix is not to spin things all around the place until you're dizzy. It's to just get a sense of space and size. And from an audio perspective, there is so much space to play with. If you think of mixing in a 2.0 environment, just two speakers, you're kind of cramming everything into this space in this kind of 180 degree flat field. So with Dolby Atmos, you have this big space where you can really separate sounds and separate frequencies and give, you know, for example, if you have a certain sound that's competing with something else on a frequency basis, you can pan it into a different part of the room, and then that isolates it. So as such, you've got a bigger three-dimensional space to actually work with in this environment. The other destination for any sound within a Dolby Atmos mix is what's called 3D objects, or an object. Now, an object can move, it can transport itself between speakers rather than, you know, jolt between them or whatever. It can go up into the ceiling, it can go behind, forward, down, up. It can have movement, or it can have subtle movement, or it can have a very expressive movement. I mean, for example, you would probably, you know, for things like in dance music, a whoosh or an effect could over the you know, around the room or whatever. So that kind of thing is kind of cool. So let's have a look at, well, I'll just play it in the 2.0 vein. So just have a listen to this. This is a Dolby Atmos 7.1.4 mix folded down into 2.0, but this is just plain normal headphones. It's not spatial audio. Okay, so that's basically 2.0 direct. That's not why we are here. So you've heard that. Just get again quickly how that sounds. Dance, he's got to dance, oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. Okay, now I'm going to flick it into the Dolby renderer. So this is the binaural representation of a 7.1.4 mix. Now the mix will completely open up now. Listen to this. Oh, and by the way, if you look at the illustration, this virtual box on the screen, this represents, that head is me there looking forward that way, as you would do. And every time an object appears, not a bed, if you look at the right hand side, certain sounds we'll look at soon will be in the bed, but anything that says 3D objects, which is this bottom right area here, so hi-hat, tambourine, toms, the Rhodes, the strings, harmonies, echo vocals, and her, which is Tina, are all objects, and they appear in this 3D box, so you can actually see while you're listening what's going on, and then we can actually start analysing these parts themselves. So keep an eye physically on what's happening in this box anyway. So So this is the 3D panner. So if I just play the harmonies, you will see where they're moving around in the space. So I'll just and I'll put the echo vocals on as well. So these are the echo vocals. So on the left, this is the panner, the object panner for the echo vocals, which is the stop, stop, da, da, you know, that kind of thing. The echo vocals on the left panner, they swap between the left and right at the rear. So they're firing at the rear of the room, and they move from the right rear to the left rear. So you'll hear it soloed.
Stop, stop, stop. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap.
Right, so let's just put those echo vocals on just so you can see those again. Right, so keep your eye on the left panner. Forget the one on the right for the moment. We'll come back to that soon. Keep your eye on the left panner, and then we'll bring up the other one and show you the relationship. So the left panner has the first vocals right rear, and then it moves to the left and then back to the right. What happens with the harmonies, they move in the opposite direction. So let's just hear the harmonies, the echo vocals first. Look on the left.
Stop, stop. Tap, tap.
That's on the left back.
Tap, tap.
Right, so right back.
Stop, stop. Tap, tap.
Left back.
Tap, tap.
And by nature of kind of opposition, the main harmonies counter the position of the ones on the left in this particular instance.
Stop, stop, stop. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap.
Right, and then when you hear it with the main vocals,
Stop, stop, stop. I'm spinning like a top. We'll dance until we drop. But if I have my way.
so there's two strings playing. This one, and then there's this one, which is in a slightly higher register. The two together. But let's have a look what's happening. So we go to the panner, and again, we're in the 3D object panner. We'll come to the bed soon, but you've got the two panners here for the strings. Basically, the left-hand string is doing a sort of a movement from slightly behind your left ear, past your left ear, and then slightly forward. And as that's going in that direction, the mirror effect on the second string is coming the back way. Chimes. So there are some chimes here. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. So again, we're on an object. Now, if you look at this, guys, this is quite interesting. I'll just play it, and we'll talk about. If you keep your eyes on the left panner here. So that sound there, as you can see, on the first chime, it starts absolutely on the hard left channel, and it moves very quickly in the space of its time period. And we can look at the automation side of it as well. You can see the different movements there. Faded in the background is one particular part of it, which is object position left, right, object position back and front. So you can see and hear what's going on here, but please take careful note of what's happening down here in the bottom left. This is the elevation. There's my head. Now you may remember a lot of things that we've been listening to have been at head level, as it were. So a lot of this sound is actually panned more towards the top speakers. So when you're listening to the mix, this will appear to be, well, in the room, it will be in the top speakers and it'll be swirling round. But, you know, so you've got that sense of what's going on. So check it out. Yeah, I moved it back to the top left a bit quick there. I can fix this in automation. Now look, as it gets to the second one, I've moved the start position to the top right. And then it'll go, instead of top left, rear right, it's going to go top right, rear left, like this. So next one, so it shoots across to the top. Watch the journey. So that's quite, there is is it a verb or an adjective? It's quite atmosy, and that's becoming a thing. You know, that's quite sort of by nature of its capability. But when you listen to this in context, I think that illustrates exactly the capabilities of this. But let's do a bit of live experimentation, shall we? So the hi-hat and the tambourine are specifically placed. Now, not necessarily because they need a movement, but because I wanted to position them in an exact space and give them some height as well. So let's look at the hi-hat. Because we've got two things in play. We've got a hi-hat and a tambourine. So let's have a look at those two together. So this is the hi-hat on the left, the panner, and then the panner for the tambourine is on the right. So you can see where they are at the moment, and you can see the position. Now, this is a spread. Where it says left and right, that sound, even though it's a mono sound, you can still give it a sense of space. Because the actual central position is where its center point exists, and the left and right is its kind of width span. And I don't mean that in a pseudo stereo way. Basically, it widens, it stretches it out to be simultaneously part in the left surround and simultaneously in the right front, left front. So there's the hi-hat. And you can see its position, and there's the tambourine. So if you close your eyes and just listen to that tambourine on the top, and it should be almost front and right of you. And then when I put in the hi-hat, it should appear to the left and a little bit to your side. Got it? Again, another sort of way of actually looking at this is the size. I can check, if you watch what happens now, those little left and right dot circles will actually increase. So that actually takes that sound and pushes it, because this is an object panel, it pushes it. So you look at the right hand side of the stereo image there, that's pushing into the center speaker, which is right at the front. So if I play that and listen to this, I'll just switch off the tambourine. So I'm going to increase the size of the hi-hat to bleed into the rest of the 3D image. Hear that? It gives that perception of being louder, but it's actually moving towards you. Now I'm going to move it back away from you. Can you hear that? Again, please let me know if you can hear this. Okay, let's look at the height speakers. This is interesting. So I'm going to move now, at the moment, from ear level, which is there, just on this line right across the ear. At the moment, it says elevation on the top right, plus 0.242. So I'm going to let this run and move it into the height, and let's hear what maybe close your eyes again at this point, guys. I'm going to move it gently up, or you can keep an eye on the screen. I could definitely, it's subtle. My God, it's subtle. But if you close, all right, close, everybody just close your eyes and I'll do the moving. So there you go. Isn't that amazing? So let's do even more experimentation. Let's swizz it around the room, shall we? Why not? Let's have a bit of fun with it. Not that you would look. The thing is, it's been quoted many times. There are good Atmos mixes out there, and there are bad Atmos mixes, just as there are good and bad mixes in the two-channel stereo world. It would sound a bit crazy and wrong for a hi-hat to be spinning around your head all the time. You know, there are certain ground rules that you should actually adhere to, and that would be my philosophy. But just for the sense of another quick sort of like wow moment, hopefully, I'm going to spin this hi-hat around and I'm going to record it. Okay, so I'm going to record that movement. So, right, we've got it now. So, again, so this is doing what you shouldn't do with a hi-hat, spinning it round. So, do you want to close your eyes or keep an eye on the panner? But let's go back in and play with the high channels and see what happens there, shall we? Let's write even more stuff on it. So there you go. That's pretty freaking awesome, isn't it? Don't you think? Right, bed. Okay, so the kick drum. Okay, right. So what is the kick drum doing, and where is it? Now, as you can see here, this is the bed panner. The one on the left is the object panner, and the one on the right is focused on the bed, which is the more static elements. And what you can do as well is actually you've got access to actually turn on or off the center speaker. Now this is quite interesting. It's something that I could only observe really properly just about every Dolby Atmos mix that I've listened to, because when you listen to Apple Music, for example, on a Mac, and you have a 714 system, as I do in this studio, you're listening to literally the finished product in the 714 environment. Now, what that enables me to do is I can walk around the room and listen to things. You know, I can put my ear right next to a speaker and listen to what is, and more to the point, what isn't there. And what I've noticed is that just about every single song, like in the majority, very little goes in the center speaker, which is if as I'm looking at the speakers, I've got left and right, and I've got one bang in the center. So I've got one in the center, two on the left and right surrounds to my ears to the side, and then left and right rear at the back of the room, and then four speakers above me. Bass lines and kick drums and lead vocals very rarely go in the center speaker. And that's the majority. That's just about 90% of what I've listened to. And I found an exception. Whoever mixed the Dolby Atmos version of Michael Jackson's Thriller album put for the track "Wanna Be Starting Something," they put the bass line "da-doom da-doom doom 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 doom" in the center speaker. And some other producers actually do it, but there's no hard and fast rule. things will change over time. Talking point, whether this is right or wrong, or who knows what's right and wrong, because it's early days technology, I guess, or relatively. Can you put a bass, in the center? Well, you've got to think also when that folds down into the 2.0 stereo world, how's it going to sound? So maybe it's related to that. As I learn more, I'll tell you guys more. But by nature of doing what I feel is the norm, I'm, isolating that center speaker anyway. So if you look at this, you can see that the center speaker there is off. Now I can switch it off or on just by doing that on this channel, or I can turn the center level down on the surround panel, but it's not engaged, so it's not letting me. And also you can see as well here, you can send elements to the what's called the LFE. Now the LFE channel is the low frequency channel, so that is the one in the 7.1.4. So basically that's the sub, the sub bass. Now you would have thought, yeah, put the bass and smash it all into the sub and smash the kick drum into the sub. No, not quite how it works. What you got to think is that not many people have a sub anyway. What's important to remember is that every single speaker at ear level, and in fact in the ceiling, there are certain Dolby Atmos specifications that a studio has to meet, and those speakers have to acknowledge a complete frequency range from certain, so many hertz down below to so many kilohertz up above. Otherwise, you're into the place of bass management, where if the speakers can't handle the subs or the lower frequencies, it pushes them to the sub to handle. So the sub, when you're doing a Dolby Atmos mix, is only used just to put a little bit of energy in there, and it's actually not a hard and fast thou shalt, thou must. It's just best to put something into that LFE channel to show that there is something there. But so I'm just letting you know that that's the case. Okay, so you kind of get the drift there. So what is in the center? Well, what I use the center speaker for two things. I mean, first of all, there's this fantastic bossa nova effect, bossa nova rhythm. But you can probably hear that has got, even though it's actually in the center channel, which, trust me, it is just in the center channel, there is a send, and this is where we'll look at something else which is quite interesting. Various plugins can be set to immersive. Now this plugin here is called Black Hole Immersive, and basically it's a reverb which basically it's pinpointed right in the middle, but by nature of its you can adjust its push forward, backward, height and everything within the actual plugin itself. So what I've done with, and you can use this to glue things into the mix, is to actually bring something that's just in one speaker but let it appear like it's a bit more in the room. It's just like using a normal reverb, and you can use normal reverbs, and I will show you how to do that shortly. So if I just take this off, so now this is just the center speaker, and with the immersive reverb, so it's all around you, but you can see at the bottom I've got the ability to push it into the side and top speakers with this crossfeed element. So if I take that off, it'll just go front and forward to the front ones. And then back into the room. So that's quite interesting. So yeah, we don't need to labour that point too much, but let's look at the vocal. Where would you put a lead vocal? So let's have a look where Tina is. So what are we sending? We're sending Tina's vocal. We've got a Valhalla vintage verb, and we've got a wide delay. So we're actually not using the immersive plugin. We're using two normal stereo plugins. But what you do is you take the output, you send your channel as normal to a reverb, and then you make that reverb sit in an object or a bed within the space in the mix. Quite straightforward, really. You just put the reverb where you want it. The thing about immersive reverbs is that they sit in the whole space rather than being positioned in a specific place. But with an immersive reverb, for example, you push the emphasis to the front or the back of the room, depending on whether the thing that's targeting it is pointed towards the front or the back of the room. There you go. Hope you got that. So this is Tina, just dry, no reverb, left and right speaker.
Oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. He wants to dance, he loves to dance, he's got to dance.
The reverb first, let's look at that. And that is positioned. Where is this positioned? Let's have a look. At the front. So I've positioned the reverb, which is on the left panel here, to literally surround her in this front area. Okay, so we've got that. Let's see, listen to that.
Oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. He wants to dance, he loves to dance, he's got to dance.
Right. So if I take that reverb off and then look at the other one. So the other one is a straightforward delay. Now, where's that panned? It's actually, oh, yeah, this is in an object, 3D object panel, whereas the reverb was in the bed. So the reverb, it says front verb in here, and that's in the bed. It's static. It sits exactly where it should do. It bleeds into the center with the sort of width of the, of this. The more that I push this out, the more it bleeds. The reverb bleeds into the center speakers. So at the moment, it's just sort of there. Let's put that back here. Whereas the delay is, boom, left and right. So the delay is left and right, just in front of the left and right surrounds, which is to my immediate left and right opposite here, in the middle, so to speak, of the space. But there's some elevation added to this, so they're slightly lifted into the top speakers, and that's really where you start to get this sense of things being glued together, because the last thing you want is just things positioned all over the mix that just, well, yeah, that's over here, that's over here. But if they don't have a sense of what I'm finding as I learn, they have to be glued together. There has to be a sense of association, not disassociation, or unification about them, that still, even in the space, they still have to be part of one performance, not things just scattered around a room willy-nilly. So,
oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. He wants to dance, he loves to dance, he's got to dance. Oh,
and then I put the reverb in as well.
oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. He wants to dance, he loves to dance, he's got to dance. Oh, I love to love, but my baby just loves to dance. Oh, I love to love.
So, what else can we look at? This is a really beautiful, this was one of the last things that I did. And this is quite a wonderful example of how Dolby Atmos and everything sort of translates to music, is this thing here. Okay, so what's happening here? You've got two vocals. In the channel strip itself are going through a delay with a certain balance. So the actual signal itself, with some delay, is going straight into the binaural renderer or the Dolby Atmos renderer. We're not sending to anything. We're not bringing anything like immersive into the room. It's within the channel, so it's sitting in its place with the effect. But I chose to do that because there's two performances. So if you look at the actual position, the first one is hard left with a wide span, just above ear level, not much, but just above. And the second one, if I put them side by side, the left-hand one is covering this space here, and the right-hand one is covering that space there. So let's have a listen. This is the one on the left. This is the one on the right. Then together. Okay, right. I know it's been very technical and there's a lot to sort of take in and learn and everything, but as I said, there are two renderers. Dolby's actual main renderer, so this is the way Dolby calculates everything as regards where things are in the mix. Now, strap yourselves in, because I'm going to teach you some stuff here which is quite easy to understand once you actually get the penny dropping, but then I'm going to freak you out even more by totally ignoring what I've just told you and flicking it into where Apple Music take it. So in the surround bed and the 3D objects, when you're listening in the Dolby renderer, which is what we have been doing all this time, which is the binaural fold-down representation of a 714 mix, to give the illustration of certain elements being close to you or far away from you, you have the ability to, in the binaural render, which you can see on the right here, say whether something should appear to be near, mid, or far, or off completely. Now, for a while, this would totally freak me out, because the penny didn't drop with me for quite some time on this. I knew that it was a thing, but I couldn't correlate what it actually meant. But as the learning process went by and I got my first certification and everything, then the penny dropped, and it was quite awesome, especially when I was able to test it out in binaural listening. So what is it? So basically, if you think about something that's in the mix, say, just as an example, it's a little bit front and forward of you, and it's a little bit wide. By hitting each individual object or bed's distance attribute, you can give it an impression in the binaural world, whether it's right next to you, or it's a little bit away, or it's far away. And that's what it is: near, mid, and far. So what I found, that this is the kind of general rule for the surround bed. You don't change anything that's of vital importance, like, the kick drum, the left, the right, the center channel. The LFE doesn't have one anyway. And the general rule of thumb is you keep the left mids and right mids near, left surround and right surround, the ones at the back are mid, and the tops far away. It makes more sense in the world of objects. And what this is, it's a Dolby requirement that says, where did you intend to put this when you did it in the 714 physical space? I'll show you an example of it, and you should be able to hear it. Okay, so let's go, say, here, and we'll isolate the tambourine. So at the moment, the tambourine, my interpretation when that plays, you can see where it is in the space there, that it's actually quite far away. So I literally need to tell the Dolby renderer, okay, for this, make sure when you fold it down from the 714 world, the physical world, is that you make sure that that appears to be far away. So it's there, okay? So what I'm going to do now, and listen very carefully, I'm going to flip this from far to off. And what you should get there is that tambourine should move from where it is, and it should appear to come straight at you and land right next to your face as a drastic thing. I'll flick this off and then far, then off and then far, and you just close your eyes and listen. If you're ready. So off should be right next to your right hand side of your face now. And then far, it should stay in that position but move away from you. What in fact is happening, off, near, mid and far basically are room ambiances, reverbs. So it puts, because the bigger a reverb, the bigger the sense of space, that you're in a bigger space, and the further away something feels. So this is where the psychoacoustic element comes in. And this is a standard thing that Dolby Atmos mixers have to do to get the deliverables right when you deliver a Dolby Atmos mix. Now, you'll see when I click this, you've got different monitoring formats. In other words, what we're listening to. The top two are binaural. Basically, binaural, as we said, means headphones, which is what we're on. And all the way through this demonstration, we've been on the Dolby renderer, okay? However, everything I've just told you, even though it has to be done, you would fail on QC, quality control, you would fail an upload of a Dolby Atmos mix if you just left everything as off or whatever, and you didn't change all these off, near, mid, far settings. I'm going to go back and launch the original version that I started with before I started messing with pans and things. And then I'm going to play the Dolby renderer, but then I'm going to flick it into the Apple renderer. And my goodness, what it does, it takes what we've all been listening to for the past hour and a half or whatever, and it just kapows it up even more. Right, okay, so we're going to listen to the full track. So we're going to listen to the Dolby renderer for a section, and then I'm going to flick it into the Apple renderer. What happens is that Apple have their own rules and criteria for what becomes the near, the mid, the far, and the fold down. Because as I said, when you deliver a Dolby Atmos master to all the platforms, Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon, etc., it's basically like a normal WAV file, but it's got loads of different tracks in it. And then what happens when somebody listens to it on a pair of headphones or on a soundbar or whatever, it detects what device that person is listening to it. So for example, if somebody's listening to it on headphones, it adapts to, okay, they're listening to it on headphones, we're going to deliver the binaural mix. If they're listening to it on a soundbar, it delivers something else. In a car, something else. On speakers, it will deliver the full 714 physical space experience. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to play it with the Dolby renderer, and please keep your eyes on, when I flick this into that, you'll hear it expand even more. Okay, so here we go, guys.
Oh,